Okay, so I'm going to do a unrehearsed video of our animated tactics board. First of all, talking about philosophy of football. Um, we can talk about how football teams play in and amongst other teams. So, the way a team beats another team is to exploit the space between its opponent's players. It's about exploiting space. And as you can see in the representation here, we've got the red team set up as an attacking 4-2-3-1 in a defensive blue team's 4-4-2. The way the 4-2-3-1 system predominantly works is winning the spaces in between. The wide guys, 8 and 11, normally get wide, try and get marked up by the fullbacks, and they normally drive inside, creating space for the fullbacks to overlap and get down the line and make crosses, as you can see there. The wide guys also try and drive into the spaces between the fullbacks and the centre backs. As you can see there from the front three sit beautifully to move through the spaces between a back four. In the middle of the park, we've got 3 red midfielders against 2 blue midfielders. Now this is simply called numerical advantage, and this is what we try and create all over the pitch at key positions. And centre midfield is possibly the most key. Win the middle of the park, you can win control of the game. So creating an extra man in the centre of the pitch is very important. And in this 4-2-3-1, we actually create a 3v2 in the centre of the pitch, which is how it dominates the midfield. So if we take our players back, we can look at how the 4-2-3-1 plays out the back. Let's say the goalkeeper receives the ball, the 2 centre backs split, the holding mid drops in, and the 2 other midfielders normally push up. The 2 wide full-backs get up as high as possible, and the 2 wide guys of the 3, they get as wide as possible, and the forward striker gets as high up the pitch as he can. We're going to try and counter this with our 3-5-2. Now this is essentially how Italy's set up in a World Cup knockout match against Spain, I think, not the last World Cup, the one before, the famous tiki-taka team. So what we're doing now is 3 centre backs, the blue team, 2 wing backs, 3 central midfields, and 2 forwards, 1 and 1 on top of the other. So we've got a playmaker number 10 to join the midfield. We're matched up 4v3 now in the middle, so we should dominate the centre of midfield. If the wide guys 8 and 11 come driving inside, the gaps aren't clearly there, they've got to drive straight inside to another centre back, which essentially matches us up 3v3 at the back, but we are 3v5 in this position. The ball is usually played out to fullbacks. Teams like to play out from the back using this formation, the 4-2-3-1. And what we're trying to do is, by dominating the centre of midfield, is force the play wide and away from the centre of the pitch and away from any trouble. What we then need to do is we need to force our wing backs to pressure the fullbacks. As we saw previously, the fullbacks of the 4-2-3-1 are used almost like wingers, trying to get crosses in, trying to get them as high up the pitch. Now we're going to use our wing backs to go and push onto their fullbacks and force them to win the ball. Now it might not necessarily be over the halfway line, I should think it will be more in our half, as you'll see later in this animation. But as the wing back presses the ball, the left centre back shifts over, there's a handing over of responsibility, and the right wing back slots in to the right back position, and everyone shifts over one. The 3 midfielders shift to the side where the ball is and makes it pretty impenetrable for anyone to play through the middle of the park. As you can see there, the 3 centre midfielders can dominate that area in the middle. Again, likewise, if the ball goes out the opposite side, we're now waiting for the fullback to try and get a little bit further up the pitch. And what this essentially does is this ensures that it creates space behind the fullback. On the left hand side here is number 2. Because he's pushed up so far forward, number 11 may be a little bit further up the pitch, and 3 might be handing over earlier. Because number 2 is so far up the pitch, it creates a nice big hole behind number 2, and this is space that we hope to exploit. Central midfielders have already matched up, they're paired up, they need to know who they're marking. Number 6 is marking, blue 6 is marking red 7, and as you can see, if number 9, red 9, comes into the spaces trying to look for the ball, centre backs can stay tight and follow and see the ball off and see the ball away. We're looking for the right time to exploit, and because the ball is coming out on the left hand side, the run of number 10 as we look to win the ball back and make our transition into attack, the number 10 will be looking to exploit that space that we just spoke of by running into it. So as we press, we win the ball back. We look to win the ball back in that space. We move the ball forward quickly. Our most forward striker, number 9, should be making the driving run between the 2 centre backs, and we try and break quickly and create our opportunities. Obviously, our opponents would be a little bit more animated than they are in this example. So again, there's a variety of ways that we might break. You would expect that that the holding centre mid would follow our blue number 10, and with this we're now creating space in the centre of the park. So again, we need to move the ball quickly and exploit the spaces that we're creating in our counter attack as quickly as possible. No matter who goes from the central midfield position, we need to ensure that we always hold on to at least one of the 3 centre mids to create balance, so that as we attack, we're still not left short at the back should we get counter-attacked on our counter-attack. Okay, so as we've won the ball, we can again try and create a counter-attack, and we start moving forward, and this time we've gone outside. The full-backs continued running, the wing-backs continued running to make that attack on the outside, and he slotted a ball into the forward player here, who is making passes from inside the box to any one of 3 oncoming attacking players. It could even go back out again for a cross into the box. So a nice example, I think. What we're looking at there is that if the red team decides to rotate their central midfield 3 so that they've got 2 holding midfield players, it becomes a lot more simple for them to switch the play and try and attack us on the opposite side of the pitch, which is their best option. We need to counter that. And the way we counter that is, like I said earlier, the 3 central midfield players, we need to know exactly who we're taking, who we are responsible for. So if one of the other players does drop deep, in this case it's red 7 has dropped into a holding mid alongside red 6, our blue 6 has gone and followed and shut down this option. Like I said, we're now 4v3 in the middle, and we're a midfield diamond against their triangle. So we're back to where we were again. They've done the smart thing. They've made a very quick transition, or sorry, a very quick change of play by switching the ball from red 2 to red 3. And by understanding that, we now see that we need to shift across. Okay. And in this instance it was with maybe one of the centre mids slotting in and doubling up behind blue 11, and then handing over to blue 2 to make him numbers up again in the middle. We're now back into a position again as red 7 wants to come. We're back exactly where we were before. 3 centre mids, boss in the middle, and our wing back pressing their full back, and our opposite side wing back slotting in on the opposite side to create a back 4.